Okay, so good afternoon. My name is Arnau Gris, and first let me introduce myself a little bit. I'm a T-shaped software engineer, so I'm focused on the front end, but I have experience in other fields of the software engineering too. And I'm very interested on software architecture because I think that this helps us to deliver more maintainable softwares, more efficient, and more scalable too. So today I will talk you about a little bit about micro frontends. Okay, we will see what are micro frontends, which are their benefits, but two, which are the challenges or problems that we can have with the micro frontends because not all is good, and depending on your projects, might be good or maybe not. We will see too some implementation strategies to see how to deliver quality to the user, a good user experience. And then we will see too some best practices to know a little bit which is the way to go with this architectural style. And after that, I will give you some key points to successfully implement micro frontends in your project if you need it. Okay, so go ahead. Okay, so first we will start of what are micro frontends. So micro frontends, it's an architectural style, okay, that let you break down your current frontend, creating small, independent, deployable, and scalable new components. Okay, so I want to show you this image that we have here. For example, some years ago was very typical to have a system like this, okay, with all in one place, with the front end, the back end, the database, all together. And but the web was getting bigger and bigger during the years. So what we have done is to split between front end and back end, to separate, to have different teams, to manage in a better way this complexity. And then what we have done later is to split again the backend in microservices to again manage all this complexity with separated teams or separated code bases. Okay, so what micro frontends tries to do is to equate the backend and the frontend. So now you can create as you have the microservices, one team, but there are teams end-to-end. So you will have an end-to-end team from, for example, one business capability. In an e-commerce, you can have the product team. So you will have an end-to-end capability with a micro frontend and then with a microservice behind an aggregation layer. And in this case, we will have an architecture which is decoupled between its modules, which is independent, which their models are independent between one and the other. We need some relations and some communication, but we will see this later. And the code is isolated because we have split it by business capabilities. So if we split by business capability, all the business logic is inside each component by itself. Okay, now we can see the benefits of the micro frontend. So here we'll see the same image that we have before, and we can see that it's very easy to escalate this system horizontally because we can create here new modules without touching the others. So you can create a new module for the card or a new module for users or whatever you want, and the other modules will be the same. And you cannot generate any back on the other models because you are not touching the other models, and the other models are independent. So the scalability is very easy. We can see that we increase our reliability because it's very isolated, the code. So when you touch one thing, you can only break one thing. So the reliability is better. And then it's very important that all those modules have a good CI/CD pipelines and infrastructure behind, because you can deliver all the new features to your user without any more complication. So you, for example, you are working on a new implementation in search team. So you can implement it and then deliver to the user without touching the other modules. So to the user, this increases the user experience too, because we'll have in a more faster way all the new features. Then the modularity gives us the point to work inside each team. So each team can know its own business logic, and this business logic, it's not shared between all the whole team, and maybe can be complex and sometimes. Okay, now here we have some challenges because not all is good. And this type of architecture brings us some points that we have to take in account if we want to implement it. The first point is obvious, is the complexity, because we're increasing the complexity to solve another problem, which is the complexity too. So if you have a complex problem, you can solve it with this architectural style, but this will give you a little bit more complex, but all your things will be more ordinated and will be more scalable and will be more maintainable. So this complex is not the complex that you have, because it's too the complex that you need resources, you need a team, you need some infrastructure, so to manage all those things. So this is very important, because if you are a very little company, or you are doing a project on your own, you will need some different team members to manage different things. You will need a lot of resources that maybe if you are not a big company, you don't have. So this is important to take in account. Then cross-cutting concerns. For example, it's very important if you have a design system or something like that, you want to share the same components through all the modules. So if you want to have the same button in all those three components, then you should extract all those things to a shared UI library, then consume this library from all the modules. So this is another process that you must do if you want to implement this architecture. And then the team coordination is very, very, very important, because you have to you need a very good coordination between all the teams, and be very, very coordinated. We will see later in the best practice, because we need a hard contracts between those components to share the information and to work without any problems. Okay, now here we will see some implementation strategies. There are more, but those are very typical. So the first one, implementation strategies, what it tries to do is to unify, because the user experience should be the best and the same as before. So if the user enters to your website, should see the same or even the same as before. So what we are trying to do here is to make this splitting and this separation transparent to the user, so the user doesn't care about that. So the first one is in a composition strategy. So we will have a single page application, which will be the parent single page application, and then inside this single page application, we will have some little single page applications, which will be the modules. So this big single page application will group all the others and will work inside this one. So if we update one of them, the other ones doesn't update it, and this one will be updated. Then the server side includes and net side includes. There are some directives which are executed from the server side and helps us to send to the client a rendered view, but when we want to show. So if we want to show two micro frontends, we can specify there, and then the rendering will only consider those two micro frontends and will send a rendered as to the client, so the client doesn't care about that. Then we can use npm packages. This is interesting depending on your usage, because, for example, if you create npm packages for your micro frontends, you can version them, and maybe you can use micro frontend through different applications. So if you have different applications, you can version this module, and if in one application you need an update and in the other you don't have time to maintain it, you can use the version number and use the old one in one and the new one in the other, and everything continues working without any problem. So this is very important if you need to share things like this. It's not mandatory to convert all your application in a micro frontend architecture, but maybe can be helpful for some small cases that maybe one part of one tool should be shared with another tool, and in that case, it's a good point to create a micro frontend and share it with an NPM package, for example. And the last one is the routing and navigation integration, which it's based on create an URL pattern in your server, so you can manage which server which frontend deliver to the user depending on your URL. So if you are the user doesn't care about that, so the user can click on your page, and then depending on the URL, the server will serve one frontend or the other. Okay, here we have some best practices. The first one is, I think that they are very important because can be a pain if you don't follow one of these. But I think that this one is very important, the compose based on business capabilities, because it's the first thing that you have to do, and will assure all your trip during your Onion micro frontend. So it's very important because business capabilities are the core of your business logic. So if you ensure that inside your component you have all your business logic and it's isolated from the others, this will be the best thing that you have done, because from here to the future, everything will be more easy. So, for example, in the past example, if you don't split by search, by product, by checkout, and maybe you can need to go to another module to follow some business restrictions or something like that to check anything. So this is a problem because your code is not isolated. So you are breaking the other best practice, and this it's very difficult to follow if you have this not ordered structure. It's very difficult to coordinate the teams, because teams needs some very strong API contracts between the modules to all this information be shared correctly. So imagine if some of the modules need to change this API contract. It's a very important thing to talk with the other team, and it's a change that should be agreed, because it can break the system. Yeah. Then we need the independent deployment, because each module is independent deployable, so you can deploy each module in the same way that you can deploy the backend and the frontend in separately. You can deploy the micro frontends too separately. Then the shared UI library that I have commented before, it's very important that if you have a design system, share all the things and consume together, because will be very useful. And the final is the containerization and orchestration. It's very useful if you have a very high demanded website with a lot of requests to have a good orchestration in your nodes using, for example, Docker or Kubernetes, to ensure that all the service it's going right. Okay, and here I will show you some conclusions about this. I've been doing during the presentation, but I will remember them. The first one is the scalability. It's very easy to scalate this type of systems, because you only have to aggregate in an horizontal way, and if you have to aggregate in a vertical way new features, it's easy too, because the team has the knowledge of a specific module, and it's very easy because they have the control end to end of this module. So the team has the control of that module, and it's very easy to scale in that way. The modularity gives the team the ability to work on their own module without any other conflicts. And those two combined, I think that they give us the reliability too, because enables us to deliver new code and have new features without touching the other code. Then the team coordination can be a pain if we don't handle in a good way, and then the complexity that we need some resources to maintain this, and infrastructure, CI/CD pipelines, etc., etc. We have different code bases, etc., etc. I think that it's very important to know where we have to apply this. From my point of view, in a big projects with a lot of complexity, in a big companies with a lot of resources, with a big team, with a lot of infrastructure, it can be a good possibility, because maybe the quality and the reliability of these systems will be better. But in a very small company or a project, a very little project, can be a pain and very difficult to maintain all of this. But as I said before, maybe your little project or a middle project has any requirement to share a part of the project, or maybe we don't touch a project, or maybe we are migrating to a new technology or something like this, can be a good possibility. For example, if we have a website and we want to migrate to another technology, maybe a good exercise can be split this current project with business capabilities, and then migrate module by module to the new technology, so the user will receive the changes at the moment, and not wait until all the process is done. So maybe you have to consider if it's worth it or not. Okay, so this is all. If you have any question, come on.
Do you use any library for building the micro frontends in Apiumhub?
In Apiumhub, not. I'm not using any specific library, because in the cases that I have found that this is useful, it was with different technologies, because I was migrating from one technology to another. So I used the URL pattern. So what I have is what created the both fronts. Well, it was a part of the web, and then I was redirecting the user to one or to the other if I have migrated this part or not. And all those parts was talking together. Yeah, but there are some libraries on the implementation strategies that can handle you some composition strategies, or for example the server side too. Yeah. Any question? Okay, so this is all. Thank you.
Wait.
Okay.
How do you keep a consistency between the data, between the various database systems, when you have to update and replicate data, or how do you manage? Because I think this kind of pattern is similar to microservice, but just you add the frontend.
Yeah, exactly. In fact, it's the same. In the backend, you will have a microservice, so all different microservices. So then you can handle the consistency of the data, and then when you move to the frontend, you will have the same aspect, but maybe the API with the server will be the same. So between the micro frontends, you can use local storage on the browser, or even you can use the backend to maintain the consistency.
So it's like the microservice pattern, but end-to-end with the frontend.
Exactly. Yeah. And then you have an end-to-end team which can handle everything from the one point. Yeah, exactly.
And me,
okay,
I think we're finished.
Okay, thank you.